Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name's Jay Laabs, and I'm the CEO of Spaulding Ridge. Joining me today, Frank Calderoni, the CEO of Anaplan. Frank, for those in the audience that don't know you, can you please give us a little bit of your background and tell us a bit about Anaplan?
Thank you, Jay, for the opportunity to be here and talk to everyone today. As you mentioned, I'm the chairman and CEO of Anaplan. I've been with Anaplan now for about 4.5 years. I came up, my history before, it's been more finance and operations. I worked at several companies, IBM, Cisco, and Red Hat prior to Anaplan. And so I've been in the planning space pretty much more than 3 decades. So I've had a lot of the trials and tribulations associated with that. Talking about Anaplan, Anaplan transforms how you see, plan, and run your business. Leaders can view and contextualize real-time data from all corners of the organization, which I think is very powerful. We also have predictive intelligence that helps organizations forecast their business so they can have faster, more confident decisions come from that. And it's our mission to empower teams with the right data, shared insights, collaborative plans, so that they can really realize a lot of the untapped potential that drives breakout performance, which is what organizations strive to do. We have currently over 1,700 customers on a global basis, and we've been adding to those customer totals somewhere in the range of like 50 to 100 a quarter, which is great to see. So we're in that hyper growth mode. And it's great to have partner like Spaulding Ridge. You and your organization, Jay, are a strategic partner. And I know many of you watching know a lot about Anaplan and what we've done together. Jay, I want to congratulate you again. You've been a gold partner of Anaplan now since 2018. And it's great to see many of the awards that you've received, like the Customer First Americas Award, the Impact Partner of the Year Award, recently the Regional Partner of the Year for the Americas, and I know you're going to continue to get these accolades going forward.
Frank, can you share how Anaplan works with some of the other leading cloud technologies?
Jay, it's a great question. It's critically important. I mean, as we think about our customers, our joint customers, we know that they leverage various types of cloud technology, and it's important for us as a platform to make sure that we can align and integrate those in particular. I know today in the audience, I can just highlight 2 that are very important to us and also our customers. First is the tight alignment and integration of DocuSign. And that's been critical for Anaplan now for a number of years. And the second is Salesforce. I have to say all of our customers leverage Salesforce. So to be able to align and integrate Salesforce into Anaplan and vice versa is critically important.
Yeah, during the pandemic especially, we saw the value of having that tight integration where things were pretty dicey last spring, and being able to run models around if different opportunities would close in Salesforce and have it run all the way through your revenue model, your commission calculations, all of that, to understand the impact on earnings very quickly without having to grind a bunch of spreadsheets together, incredibly valuable.
That's a great example.
The moment right now when the world is opening back up, what do you think businesses today need to be focused on to be successful?
Jay, a great question. I think there's really, I see it as 2 real mandates to make the most of where everyone is right now. I think we're in a unique time, just having come through this pandemic globally. And I think right now there's a strong amount of potential out there in the marketplace. And so I think businesses really have to focus on two things. The first mandate is about the business performance. Really, what is it really going to take for businesses to really continue to be agile and resilient and really adapt to the amount of change that we've experienced, but that will continue kind of going into the future. And I think as leaders, it's important really to understand kind of where your business is, what you really need from a demand perspective to meet some of that opportunity going forward, and to be able to adjust and really kind of set the stage kind of going forward to accelerate the business momentum, accelerate the performance, and really kind of drive for success. So that's the first mandate, really continued focus on the business performance. I think the second major mandate for businesses today is really leadership. And having a good product is important, but it's not enough anymore. And I think what's more important going forward is really customers are looking for companies that really have an ability for them to trust those organizations that they're working with, and to make sure that there's a shared value. And so I think corporate culture, more so than ever, and I think going forward, is going to be higher stakes for organizations. And I think it's going to continue to be very relevant. And I think more than culture is really to have a character. I think all of us understand and appreciate that as human beings, having a good character is important for people to trust each other. And I think now for organizations, it's going to be as important for customers, for employees, for vendors and partners to really have the trust and respect of who they work with. And that kind of ties back to having a corporate culture, knowing what it really means, standing up for certain values, but also seeing those values carry through in how these organizations conduct themselves on an ongoing basis.
Frank, I couldn't agree more. Let's talk about that leadership mandate in more detail. I know you recently had a book come out, Upstanding, and congratulations. But how about you share some of the insights that you found while researching and writing the book?
Thanks, Jay. And yes, the book is called Upstanding. It's how company character catalyzes loyalty, agility, and hypergrowth. And I felt in writing it during the pandemic, I felt that leaders in business was really called to stand up, not just because of their customers and employees and their investors, but also their communities. I think with all the activity that was going on with some of the social unrest, everyone was being asked to kind of really stand up. And I think that's great. And what I found at Anaplan and various others that I talked to is that this was a time where company character was so relevant. That company character really is the basis of trust and emotional connection that people have with an organization. And I think it's really at the center of your brand, your reputation, and your behavior. And I feel strongly that leaders must make sure that they are using their character, their corporate character, as a guiding star as they focus on their business environment. And that requires them to have accountability, but also a strong company culture and a system of beliefs and values and goals that they can practice with their employees and really feel good about the connection that allows the organization to really develop. And I found in a lot of the research that I did that there are 4 key things that I think businesses must do to really exemplify an upstanding character in order to be able to make sure they can thrive, especially as we think about this new normal going forward. And the first one is to operate with a larger purpose. And knowing what that purpose is and people can align to that purpose, I think is critical. The second is to be values-led. Make sure that those values are true to the organization. People understand them. They can relate to them. The third is to follow through on your convictions. and make sure that that's really important, what those convictions are, but make sure that you can demonstrate your ability to really follow through on those. And then the fourth is to really answer the call in challenging times. And I think, when you think about what we've been through in the last 17, 18 months, that clearly is a great example, and how you can be able to rise up and really have the organization, everyone in the organization, deliver on that call, I think is important. And these four things, I think, is what allows organizations to really exemplify an upstanding character and having that larger purpose. At Anaplan, our larger purpose is to empower our employees to contribute their best selves. And I think that allows individuals to really bring themselves to what they do and stand up and have a sense of really that purpose, but also be able to be energized and enthusiastic about what they do. And I think in the end, they bring their best. The organization can realize that full potential, and I think it works all around. Jay, I know that you are, if I think about culture, knowing Spaulding Ridge, that's an important to you and your organization. How do you feel about what makes you feel strong about outstanding company character? What does that mean to you?
Well, our business, like yours, is very values orientated. Really, we put our four core values out front in everything we do. So 1, all business is personal. 2, efficient execution. 3, culture forward. And 4, having a global impact. And, as you said, and certainly wrote about it in the book, that this really has been a time for leaders to stand up and lead, and not have there be daylight between what we say and actually what we do. And I do think that's part of what's made our partnership with you special. It's one thing to lead employees at Spaulding Ridge, but also when they know they're working with a values-orientated organization like Anaplan, they want to base a career on that too. And we thank you for your leadership during this time. Frank, talk to me a bit more about Anaplan's culture and how you work to cultivate it. What's the secret sauce for you on a daily basis to build that?
So Jay, at Anaplan, we have 6 stated values that are integral to who we are as a company. And shortly after I joined, which is about now almost 4.5 years, we undertook kind of a collaborative company-wide project to really allow our employees to be part of identifying these values. And I remember back several years ago, we asked everyone to volunteer to be part of that. And it was interesting. We had 67% of our employees wanting to participate, which I thought was really impressive. And so through that exercise, we allowed everyone to really jump in and identify what made them feel connected to Anaplan, and to identify these values. We came up with 6. It's creative, authentic, open, collaborative, inclusive, and tenacious. And that's the organization kind of feeling, everyone feeling that that's what made them feel good about it. And then what we did is we tried to align those values with certain behaviors so that we can identify what success looked like. And we allow throughout Anaplan for us to call each other out against those values on a regular basis. And I think something that's special about Anaplan is that these values aren't just part of our culture and our people. They're part of our platform as well. It's what we do as part of Anaplan to make sure that our information is accessible to all and all corners of the organization. I think that allows for the ecosystem, our partners, our customers, to really be open and collaborative and creative about what they do in Anaplan, and also work with a community of people that are open, collaborative, and creative. And I think that's what makes the winning combination, and why I think the Anaplan community is so powerful.
Well, the community over the past 18 months with it going remote certainly created some challenges for us. How did you work to keep the culture alive the past 18 months and keep that strong focus, as you mentioned, on your people?
So the first thing, and I learned this early on, is to really show a level of empathy, which was to listen and learn, and allow people to really speak up, both professionally as far as some of the challenges and/or opportunities that they had, but also personally. And I think over the last 17 or 18 months, we all found that there's a tight connection of the professional and the personal. And so at Anaplan, showing that level of empathy and that level of openness, what we tried to do is really have a very open, collaborative environment, which is one of the things that I did was have these company-wide Q&A sessions where employees can ask me, but also other members of the leadership team, certain questions on various topics, both personally and professional. And we found that we had a very great high level of connection. We had well over 90% of the population within Anaplan participate in these sessions. And so we did them more often, and we did them on various topics. Some topics were business-oriented, some topics were topics on the pandemic or topics on various things that were going on in the social environment. And the more that we did that, we found a much stronger engagement. And in this virtual environment, that wasn't easy. And I felt that, we made it seamless as far as the work from home because of that collaboration. We also went forward to making sure that we focused on well-being and really ensuring that employees had different outlets to be able to have a chance to rest and reassure themselves. And so we had what we did this past year with Wellbeing Days, where we end up closing down Anaplan to have longer weekends. And we found initially we got some great response from that, and so we did more of those. We had 9 days last year, Wellbeing Days. We've continued that into this current year, and I think it provides for a different engagement. People can work hard, but then they could also disconnect and play as hard with their family and their friends. And we tried to do many of these activities throughout the pandemic. And I think now that we're coming into this post-COVID environment, we want to make sure that we get that hybrid approach, right? People can work from home, they can work in the office, but let's try to bring that same engagement that we learned was very successful into the current environment.
So I like a lot of what you said there. First, your well-being days, we took a cue from you and also rolled out mental health days at Spaulding Ridge this year. I also like what you said about empathy and leading with empathy. We certainly found that pre-COVID, a lot of the questions that we would ask when checking in with our team, they became a lot more personal during the pandemic to just make sure everyone was doing okay. Whether it's parents, children, just managing the changed world, taking that lead with empathy approach was incredibly helpful. And the other thing I would say is we really doubled down on our core values. And, we would say we're going to lead aggressively and lean into the conflict. And we found that in having a more empathetic approach to our team, that they were really opting in more, building loyalty and connection to what we were trying to do, and have come out on the other side in a really great position. And we're grateful for that. Frank, let's shift gears here a bit. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. What have you been up to during the pandemic? Some outside interested to hear.
So other than writing a book and running a company and dealing with all the dynamics that all of us have been faced with the pandemic, I found it goes back to what I was saying before about well-being. I mean, finding other outlets is extremely important. For me, I've always been a runner, and so I found myself on certain running routines giving me an outlet. I just recently got a Peloton bike, so that gives me an ability to kind of do it inside as well. I got back into gardening, which I found was great therapy. And so that allowed me a real different connection. And then the last thing I'd bring up is surfing. Gives me a chance to also spend time with my daughter and my son and do something that I learned to do later in life, which I know is a bit of a hazard, but so far so good. I'm having fun, and we'll keep at it.
Well, I like the surfing, Frank. A little tough for me to do here in the northern suburbs of Chicago, but
come to California.
Yeah.
How about yourself, Jay?
Well, spent a lot of time working on my music theory. I can see my favorite bass here over my shoulder. I play in a band with some other CEOs in Chicago, and we're looking forward to getting back out there after the pandemic. But also, I took the time to reinvest in myself too. Did a lot of management reading. I'm a big disciple of Patrick Lencioni. Reread his whole stack of books
because some good books there.
Yeah. Well, as you said earlier, though, in these times, leaders really need to lead, and so I was, looking at anything I could do to really help us all manage through this, and now, excited to be on the other side.
Jay, what's the name of your band? A CEO band. That's great.
Well, it's called Forum Confidential. It's kind of a inside joke. We're all in an organization called Young Presidents Organization, and that's a term from there. So, hey, maybe we can play at the next CPX, Frank.
Jay, I'm going to take you up on that. Maybe not CPX or somewhere else. We're going to find an opportunity. I'm glad I found that out.
That sounds great. Frank, let's segue back to the business mandate you mentioned earlier. What do you think businesses need to do to make the most of this moment?
Jay, I think there's really three things that are important for businesses to focus on as we think about this next normal. The first is predicting trends and shifts and being able to respond quickly. It's about using information to see and understand all the factors that can affect a business, and whether it's the evolving business behavior, weaknesses in supply chain, emerging demands that did not exist, but being able to leverage all that and really kind of be able to predict what's to come. Second, I know that revenue growth is on everyone's mind, and seeing that accelerate is important. There's a significant amount of pent-up demand for sure, and we've seen consumer demands shift so much that we all need to figure out how do we take advantage of that in this environment? And this involves coordination of some complex set of data points that I think are amazingly dynamic. And it requires a real-time, accurate data that can really be assessed by an input from all corners of the organization, which I think plays in well with the partnership that we have between Anaplan and Spaulding Ridge. And I think the final task at hand for all of us is really to unleash the untapped potential in our organizations. And we should be empowering our people to deliver their best work with leveraging digital tools to make work more efficient, let them focus on the areas that they can deliver their own unique value and perspective. And it's also about creating a culture that makes them feel like they belong and they can show up and really be their best selves. And I think employees who feel like they belong, as I mentioned before, will be their best advocates for the organization, as well as for customers and all other talent to be able to track that into the organization.
Well, Frank, that's certainly what we try to bring to our customers in our partnership with Anaplan. if you could, without naming names, share some of the specific outcomes that you've seen the past year.
You know, Jay, the beauty of that is there's so many examples that I can come up with, but you know, two that come to mind. One is a large manufacturing firm that has recently implemented Anaplan's Plan IQ, and as a result of that, they can now see more accurate snapshots that are delivered in about 24 hours. That's kind of amazing, the amount of response time from that perspective. This allows them to quickly analyze how their forecast has changed and be able to adjust their business accordingly. Another is a large mining company where they also are leveraging Plan IQ, and this client has been able to see an increase in their forecast accuracy by 8%, and that's in a short period of time. And this has allowed them to have greater trust in their baseline forecast. And I think, you know, with these two examples, that it's showing that having better predictions means that they can be much more agile to meet their customer demand. And I think together, Anaplan and Spaulding Ridge are going to start to see even more of these opportunities going forward. So I'm really excited about the opportunity that's out ahead of us when it comes to predictive analytics and Plan IQ.
So, Frank, I'm glad you touched on the agility required during this time to get better revenue forecast. I mean, forecasting accuracy in general, but especially on the revenue side. Of my 25 years of building planning models, the first 20 of my time was spent on using the legacy tools, and they seem to always be very rigid, more about adding up, oftentimes a lot of expense detail. But when it came to the revenue side and the just various scenarios, and like we're just not even getting to talking about, you know, AI and those sorts of things, just really not helpful for what is required today. And that's what gets us so excited about Anaplan, just the what's possible, where this is going as well. And it's very exciting. We see it from our customers, and you know, getting that insight into revenue is just so incredibly important.
Jay, how about if I turn the table on you? How is the partnership going from your perspective?
Well, it's really been truly awesome. The number one thing that we've seen is the ramp up time, the ease of use of getting our consultants up to speed and adding value. It's really a testament to how flexible and easy to use that the platform is easy to use. And then the other thing, we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but the aligned values really just gets our team excited about working with everyone at Anaplan. You feel it out in the field. You feel the collaboration when we're in meetings together, working together. And the big takeaway there is, you know, the end customer wins when we're tightly aligned. And, you know, we kind of look at it as the three-legged stool. It's Spaulding Ridge, it's Anaplan, and it's the customer, and we're all working together to deliver value. And so keep doing what you're doing, Frank.
And we've got some great opportunities, I know, going on even this month that we're trying to bring across the finish line. So we look forward to that.
Fingers crossed. Well, Frank, thank you for your time today. Really appreciate it. Spaulding Ridge, speaking on behalf of all of us, we're very grateful for the partnership, and probably most importantly, really thank you for your leadership during this time, from your voice and not being afraid to be out there on some of these issues. You know, for us, being your partner, and I speak on behalf of our people, when they see that, they get more excited about doing great things with Anaplan. So we thank you, and we're grateful for the partnership.
And thank you, Jay. I can say the same thing back. And thank you for the opportunity of being able to be here today and to talk with your entire community. So thank you.